What's up, movie trivia Schmoedown fans? Welcome back to the Call to Action Network. It's your girl, Danny Joy here, hanging out with my two favorite co-hosts on this lovely Sunday. It's not a chill to action Sunday, unfortunately, y'all, but it is a Call to Action live with me, Danielle, this guy right over here. And I don't know what happened to that.
There you go. It's me. It's PLD. Happy to be here. I'm actually very excited. We just had a C2A state of the state meeting between the crew here, and we have a lot of exciting things coming up. We're going to get a little more organized on something. Expect some great content coming up your way. But that's neither here nor there. We're not going to get into that tonight, but you'll hear about that soon. But thank you for being here as always, and love being with Danny Joy as always. Billy's here. So.
Did Belford freeze? Oh, the Belford is frozen, and in what? Oh, he's just in like his thinker phase. I love it. What's up, Billy?
There he is.
What's up, everybody? Everything went weird there for a second. I don't know what happened. It's back. I'm back. It's me, your two-time award-winning journalist, Schmoedown award-winning journalist, the Belford, here to bring you all the correct, opinions and pontifications that about the Schmoedown. So I'm here for you guys. You know, I'm excited for. I'm always excited to see Danielle. Oh, and Paul's here too.
Yeah. Before we get started talking about the matches, I just want to send a big shout out to everyone that donates tonight. Get in your Streamlabs and your super chats. Anything that you donate to us tonight is in turn going to my city's local mutual aid. For anyone that isn't aware, Texas kind of went through this really terrible freeze. A lot of people just couldn't handle it. A lot of people are struggling right now. So mutual aid, I'm sure you have a mutual aid fund in your city. Link up with those people. But if you'd like to help out some Texans and my home city, Corpus Christi, Texas, then donate to Streamlabs. All that stuff is going to go to the CC Mutual Aid. And if you'd like to donate to them directly, all of the Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App is right down there at the bottom. So thank you all so much. Yay! I'm fine. It's the funny thing about Texas is we were frozen yesterday. Like I couldn't even get out of my bed because I was an ice block. And today it's bright and sunny and beaming outside. It's wonderful.
I gotta say, it's not. I shouldn't say it's humorous because obviously I went through a lot. I feel horrible for you guys down there and everything else. But the funny aspect to me, it's like what you guys had is basically like a weekend in December in New York. Like that's kind of what we do. You just aren't set up for it down there, and that's the reason why it's important. But like when you came to one point, you go, I don't know how to get this ice off my windshield. I was like,
everyone out there, I sent to the group of men, like there was ice falling off, like frozen onto the cars and stuff. So I had ice on my window. I legit honestly had no idea if I defrost it, is it going to make my window bust? Am I supposed to use a special tool?
I couldn't help
but that's neither here nor there, y'all. That's Texas weather. Texas weather is just as unpredictable as the Schmoedown can be. We've seen the Schmoedown go through its ups and its downs. It's really crazy, and we're so excited to finally get back into actually talking about Schmoedown matches. We've been talking about Schmoedown theories, different things within, the changing of the game and all of that stuff. I'm super excited that we finally got matches back. Oh my goodness, did you all get excited about season 8?
Oh, I'm so stoked it finally began. It feels like we've had this has been coming for a long time. We had the awards, we had the free agency, we had the draft, all these theories left and right. I don't know how many more theories we could have ran out there. Finally, we get to see what's going to start happening. I can't wait to see what's going to go on now. But we had a great opening match, right? I mean, great opening pay-per-view, I should say. What a way to begin. Schmoedown always seems to have good openings. Like we had last year's was great with Shazam. Shazam, who versus Dan, basically, in New York. We had the Andrew guy versus Robert Burnett. A lot of great openings, but this was one that definitely did exactly what we wanted to see. We got great matches, great storyline potential, should we say? I loved last night. It felt good to be home. It felt good to be home.
That's what it felt like. It felt like being home. Belford, did you yell at your screen the entire time?
In that second match, 100% for sure. It's funny. The theme of season 8 is war, and there's different kinds of wars. Some of them are like slow burns that kind of like build up to a major battle. Not this one. Right off the bat, it is like the heavyweight fights are already happening. The big bombs are being thrown, and it also amazed to set the tone for two divisions in one night, because these two matches really set the tone for the rest of the season. I mean, to show what it takes if you want to be a contender in the season, in the Schmoedown, in War, and I could not be more excited. And also, I mean, the results speak for themselves. We know whether our bread is buttered on this podcast as it is, and it was a big night for our people.
That's right. Before we get a little bit more into these matches, I just want to send a huge shout out to Ferris Muthana. Thank you, buddy, for the $100 donation in Streamlabs. I salute. Oh my gosh, my dude Ferris always comes through. We love you. We appreciate you. We salute you, my dog. Love you. Thank you so much, bud. All right, so getting into these matches, before we get into the pay-per-view match that we watched, we did get a good opportunity to check out a new slice that's going to be in the wheel. We're going to talk about slices and categories and stuff coming up, but we got, for the Skybound Expo, the Black Cinema matches, and that was a hoot and a holler. Oh my gosh. Paul, I know you watched it, right?
I did. I was very excited to see what was going down. First of all, real quick, Ferris, I love you, brother. I love the fact that Ferris is running bid. He'll donate and he'll just say, hello.
Hello. That's all that he said on there also was hello.
That's so great. It's a great running.
This is the chance to ask us anything on there also. So if you're curious about some of our stuff, slide those in.
But yeah, so the Black Cinema match was phenomenal before. It was just great to see because we got to preview that slice PJ was talking about. There's a lot of questions in the Facebook group and on Twitter is like, what does Black Cinema mean? Do we need to get a list? We don't need a list. We don't need a list of Black Cinema. The idea is sometimes you don't want to specify completely. The idea is you want to hit the heart of it. As PJ has said, in general, you'll find out more when you watch the Black Cinema match. I think we did. It's not going to necessarily be. As far as it's not going to be a point value system, does it have to have a black lead? Does it have to have a black director? Does it have to have this? It's going to be something that's truly, genuinely hitting what they want to hit as a true black story, where it's important to Black cinema as a whole. And we found out more about that. I love seeing Jay Washington in his best form. And this is definitely his category, and he is
that was Jay being Jay 100%. That's just Jay. Unapologetically Jay. And then Winston. It was Winston Marshall and Danielle Radford. Danielle, who I love so much. I hope that we get to see her more in Schmoedown proper at the desk, or hopefully maybe even some FCL pop in sometime. But Winston, and if any of y'all have seen Winston and Jay's podcast, the way that they banter with each other is fucking hilarious, man. And it just throws everything off the rails. And poor Danielle was just like,
and that's tough to do to Danielle because she's herself. So, but I did love seeing their back and forth, and of course having Chance in there, Janine the Machine, always a pleasure to see her, and then Glee Wiggins. I gotta tell you, Glee Wiggins was she seemed like she was out of it for a bit, she was kind of lower in the ratings as far as questions going. She wasn't to be. It was it's with Jay versus Chance. It seemed like for a while, but man. At the end of the day, she shook the world. She shook everybody, and she came back and made a complete comeback, beating Jay in sudden death. We had sudden death in our first match of the year, even if it was an exhibition match. I loved it tremendously. I loved seeing how excited they all got. They all were excited to talk about the cinema. They probably grew up with more than the average Schmoedown demo would have, so to speak. But yeah. Well,
I love that exhibition match. It was the first one I actually enjoyed. I totally get it, because sometimes exhibition matches, they're about one specific subject, and maybe you're not too much into that. I didn't watch the MCU exhibition matches. I know what the outcomes are, but yeah, I agree with Ferris. This was a very exciting and fun match to watch. It's a great preview of what that slice actually is. And the movies that you can kind of study for, it does give you a good idea of the movies that are inside of that category. So I'm glad that they did that, and it was a wonderful turnout. I thought it was great.
Ferris is waiting for the Fast and Furious exhibition match.
That's what he wants.
Him and John Lestrina, they're going to be going up against each other in the Fast and the Furious exhibition match. We should host that. They did it last year at one point too, they had an exhibition. It was the Black Cinema exhibition, and I think it was just Winston versus Jay, and it was amazing. Like it was like the questions were like super difficult, and both of them were obviously super knowledgeable, and were like pulling. And it wasn't just like it was just amazing trivia, and it shows that like it's amazing trivia. It's whether it's whatever type of movies you like or you enjoy or you watch. It's amazing trivia. It's always amazing trivia, and it has an amazing space now on the wheel, and it does shine a light now on some areas that maybe haven't been shown in the future. And now it's going to be, if you want to be a well-rounded Schmoedown competitor, you got to know these things.
You got to branch out. You're definitely going to have to branch out at this point. Loved it. So
I'm going to bring this up really quickly. Ben Rayner inside of the super chat. Thank you so much, Ben. Great card on Friday night. We're going to talk about Friday coming up right now. I'm so pumped for this Laura storyline. I'm hoping Winston could do some magic. Hashtag bring to the light. Bring it to the light. Yes. Ben, thank you so much for that super chat donation. Truly, truly appreciate it. It's going to go to a good thing.
Brandon Button Streamlab as well.
Oh, Brandon Buckingham, let me update it. Paul is pushing buttons faster than I can.
I love that he's bringing up the storyline as we kind of like transition into the pay-per-view, because that was the first shocking moment of the season, is that Laura comes on screen and she's in a corruption t-shirt, and it's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then there was not a Winston appreciation night, that was for sure.
Oh, that whole situation broke my heart. Brandon Buckingham inside of the Streamlabs. Thank you so much, Buck. Who do we want to see Molly and Chandra play in their next matches? Hashtag pray for justice. Thank you so much.
Ooh,
that is a good one. So let's answer that question before we talk about the matches. Who do I want to see Molly play next? I think I would like to see Molly go up against, I'm trying to think, someone that she hasn't played before. Idea. I'd rather her go against someone newer.
I have an idea. I think that like Molly should be, because clearly, like, if you want to compete for the title, you have to be perfect or as close.
Always hustling. Always hustling. I love that juice. Go ahead.
And Jacob went about. So the thing is, I think she should maybe be like a gatekeeper almost, like get one of these new people who've never competed in the Schmoedown and have them go up against Molly. Maybe that Zach guy that's they're friends with. Zach Burkett. Or like somebody like Gold Leader, like to really see where they stand, because we know where Molly stands now. Right. It's near the top, but it may not be right at the top. So if you want to be at the top, you got to go through Molly Damon now.
Yeah, she definitely. I mean, definitely at this point, there's the tier of the Alex Damon, and there's a second tier at this point, whereas like with the Scrimshaws, the Laura Kellys, the Andrew DiMolantes at this point. But right underneath that, and that's not a knock on anybody, right underneath that is the Molly Damon's. Perhaps that's where Ace is at this point after losing his match in Spectacular.
It was one match. He swept through that whole thing. It was one match.
It was, but he didn't.
I mean,
let's a little bit. Well, not exactly.
Let's get our unbiased opinions out of the way here, and.
I mean, maybe there's an argument to me that he's in the top tier still. I would say at this point, I want to see him win more, a little bit more. He had a great run. Let's see what happens. You know what?
That's who I want to see Molly Damon go up against next. I want to see her go up against Ace Cabrera, because
I would like that too.
I would too.
We would find out where Ace really is. Is he still is he that person who could challenge for the title? Or was that maybe like a fluke? I don't want to say fluke because you won a tournament. Like you had to win several matches to do it. But like, where does he really stand? And
let's see him coming back from that defeat against Damon. Let's see where he is now at that point. So I agree with you entirely. I like the Molly versus Ace angle. I
do too, and I feel like it matches up very well with what Belford was saying earlier about Molly being this sort of like gatekeeper to the higher echelon of Star Wars players. I tried my best I didn't really try to study. I told Paul earlier in the year before the season started that I would try to study for Star Wars and try to see how, I know I could never get into like round 2 questions, but maybe I could hit some round 1 questions. Couldn't do it. Could not.
I'm
Could
gonna
not
take
do
60
it.
days out of my life, and I'm gonna be a Star Wars competitor. That's all it takes is 60 days, guys.
Okay, that's what I heard that too from someone. I don't know.
Yeah,
who it
Yeah.
was.
Apparently, that's all
but,
it is.
I'm a
But
professional.
it's an interesting thing you bring up as far as Molly being the gatekeeper in a way. I also want to point out, and we'll get into a little bit. I think Molly actually improved from her first appearances. Molly was a damn good competitor at this point. So not only is Molly a gatekeeper for some of the younger people, I want to see Molly up against Ace to see if she can take someone like Ace down. I thought she held her own against Laura as well. Laura pitched a perfect game. You can't beating a perfect game is tough. It's just tough.
Yep.
It's hard to do. They're not going to answer a question wrong. How do you beat them? But yeah, unless you're going to go perfect too, somebody's got to give eventually. So Molly shooting upwards to Ace at that point still after holding her own against.
That's funny. I'm more
You're contractually obligated, I think.
60 days.
I get that. You know what? I fully understand that. I totally get that. I'll let that slide. We'll put you on the spot that way.
Oh
We
my
need
gosh.
t-shirts. We need hashtag 60 days
60
t-shirts.
days.
There's got to be a picture of Robert with that comment that's here by Parker. Like,
Yeah.
the wink.
It's gonna be on the
Oh my
back,
God.
like authors. Like, you know how like authors will give their like responses on the back of books, and it's like, I'm contractually obligated to stand by the 60 days claim.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm super sorry to derail this again, y'all. But big shout out to 2 Streamlab donations. Oh my gosh, y'all, thank you so much. Jose Montalvo donated a big old bill. Thank you so much. Appreciate what you guys do for the community. That Schmoedown event was amazing. Agreed. Oh my gosh. And thank you so much, Jose. Oh man, thank you so much. And Alan Smithy inside of there also, the director. Hey C2A, I hear Texas has great barbecue, and I respect that. Love that. Thank you, Alan. It's true. Gotta save those Texas pitmasters and all of my Texas friends from Sub-Zero's wrath. Peace. Thank you so much, y'all. Y'all have no idea how much this means to me. I genuinely appreciate that. Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Yes, very much appreciated. Back to the Star Wars match between Laura and Kelly, and then when we go into the Molly Chandra match, we'll say who we want Chandra to go up against then. But for the Star Wars match, I mean, like Paul was saying, it was a fucking lights out for Laura Kelly doing what she does, and it's pretty amazing to see that because it just seems like it just comes off so naturally, like it's just there. She's just got it. What she just has. What is it? What kind of swag? Maybe she's just got a little bit of swag.
That doesn't sound right. No, that is.
Oh man,
I don't know what it is.
I don't know what that means.
Forgiven. I do love this situation though. Y'all, please tell me how y'all feel about this Laura Kelly Winston Marshall situation.
Oh, I want to go into that. Right, that was one of my highlights of the moment because like it was kind of this off-season thing, right, where Laura Kelly and Shannon came out and said, you know, if you come after my girl, I'm going to cut you. And Laura said she wanted it. It almost felt like it was going to be that was all it was going to be. This like a silly back and forth, but they're committing to it now in this long run. When she appeared in that corruption shirt, and my God, already one of the lines of the year. Are you done? Laura Kelly Winston is holding. Are you done? It was so great. I was loving
What a rough night for Winston.
Oh, Winston, what a little win.
He gets a W. We can't really celebrate it.
But Winston held his own too. I love what Winston was doing. He's like, I'm gonna let you do your thing. Go ahead. I'm not gonna stop you from winning. If you want to throw them, we'll talk about it later. But it doesn't seem like you are. So do your thing, girl. Get it.
Hey, we get the points.
Points.
For swag.
Doesn't matter what they say.
Yeah.
Right. We don't care what Laura's saying at this point. I don't care if Laura wants to be on swag or not. He's getting the points either way. That's what he's saying. That's the way he's got to go with. He's got to approach it at that point.
If they ever make like player shirts, like player t-shirts, I would love to have a swag logo with the corruption logo on top of it, like
for Laura Kelly.
That'd be like Laura Kelly. Yeah.
It's swag, but it's in corruption colors. Like
that's what I really hope. That's honestly where I hope it ends up like falling into. Like it just turns into like Winston kind of gives in a little bit and lets her have these lets the swag colors. One of the comments that she made was that she doesn't look good in purple. So I thought that was funny.
He's got black. He'll black all day.
This was a great week. So Laura Kelly, like last season, she comes on the scene, and we really didn't get like like a lot of Star Wars competitors in the past, she kind of showed up. She won a match. She went up against Alex Damon, not last season, 2 years ago, and then kind of disappeared. Last year, all we really saw her in was the Star Wars tournament with a little bit of stuff. Like this week has been Laura Kelly week. Like Twitter popping off, calling out Molly like from the start, like quote tweeting her, subtweeting her. Then she goes on screen with the Corruption shirt and and then after the match, she's in Corruption's watch along, watching the Mara and Chandra match. It's so good. Oh, it's so much. I love it so much. Like I loved Laura Kelly before this. Now I'm like, I stan her. Is that what the kids are saying? I think I stan Laura Kelly.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but I think
you're doing it right. You got it right. It's all good. Also, I'm gonna start crying. Look, y'all are gonna start making me cry with all of these Streamlab donations, y'all. I can't even do this. I can't believe how overwhelmed I am with this. Danny Koss like lost. Great start to the season, to season 8. # Texas forever, y'all. Oh, thank you so much, Danny, for that. And Ferris was on it again. Ferris, I'm gonna give you a big hug next time I see you. What were your thoughts about the new IG categories like swashbuckling and graphic novels? You can answer after the Star Wars talk. Much love and thank you. Thank you, Ferris, so much for that donation. My dude, you're the best of us, I swear. Yeah, we'll definitely get back to that also whenever we go, because we're going to talk about the categories too. But I just wanted to send a big shout out to y'all. Thank you so much. I swear y'all are going to make me cry.
Yeah, I just want to touch base on the other side. Molly Damon, like I said before, I want to get into it real quick. She did, she missed one question in round 1, and she missed her 5-pointer. That's all she missed. And the 5-pointer, that was a difficult 5-pointer because it was one of those things you don't think about. We got a Kanan Jarrus question in Star Wars at that point. Kanan from Rebels. He had one little ghost line in Rise of Skywalker that if you didn't have the subtitles on, you might not even know it was him at that point. And you had to ask, what did he say? Mm-hmm. And he said 2 things. He said Rey's name and what was the other line he said. And it could have been, and the worst part about that line is that it's specific. It's like a line that amongst many other similar lines. It wasn't a very specific line. It was like more of a, they all were basically the same type of thing. We have to rise up. We have to fight. You have to. They're all like similar lines. So we had to pick up the voice, specific thing. That's really all she really. I mean, at that point, how can you argue that she's not in a top level kind of piece at that point? Really? Yeah, I'm sorry. She missed 2 questions in round 1. That's right. She missed 2 questions in round 1. Thanks, Buck, for that. I appreciate that. Because what if it was a Alan? Well, I remember one of them being the Admiral Radis question in Rogue One, which I know made Ken Knapsack's heart skip a beat a little bit, but that's okay. But what I found funny about that was that it was like not the hard questions that she missed, and she mentioned that in the post interview. It was almost like she was going so deep on some of the things that it was like the little simpler questions that she kind of like almost double second guess or whatever herself. So I think if she can fill that gap in here and there, if she can get more like on those, I think we could see it. I think she absolutely could challenge Alex at that point. She's only getting better. And I also want to add, love Kaiser with her. I got to be honest with you, Kaiser, I respected. I loved Kaiser ever since he first came in the league. I respect him as a manager, what he does. But I really saw a different level with him because Molly's a different competitor than he's ever really had, I feel like. And he was really he felt like a different Kaiser with him. He's a little more gentle Kaiser, so to speak. He kind of had a little more like a kid love approach. But he like when he's with a Smasher or something like that, he gets to come out and be all loud and obnoxious and arrogant doing his thing. That's what he does. With Molly, it was more of a focused level of like, you know what you do, you got this. And it was I like seeing the subtle differences in there, and I think it's a great combination. It shows what Kaiser can do. He started out strong so far.
I mean, well, we've seen that before with Kaiser, because Kaiser's had the dungeon has had like a plethora of different kind of competitors, from Eric Zipper, to the Smasher, to Paul Oyama when he was with them, to so he had, and Kaiser's shown a lot of versatility in how he handles his competitors, and it's worked with his competitors. The results haven't always been there. I mean, especially last season, but Kaiser clearly has a vested interest in every single one of his competitors, and he does seem to have a I know what you need, and I'm going to give you that to get the best out of you. Whereas some other managers, what they do gets the best out of some of their competitors and maybe not other ones. So I do think Kaiser's an excellent fit with Molly Damon.
Excellent fit, I agree. So
I agree. I think what's really interesting with the season, it's the second time, it's the second year. Kaiser cares. Hashtag Kaiser cares from Robert Parker inside of the chat. I do think that because this is the second year that we're doing factions and managers the way that the Schmoedown has been doing it, I think it's going to be a great example of why managers are important, what they can do, how versatile they are, or if they're going to continue to stay the type of manager that they are. Like, I think that's one thing that we've noticed from Kaiser. We've seen Kaiser's attitude change, just like you guys were saying, to adjust to the players that he has. I haven't. Bobby Gucci's not doing that. I don't think so. At least Bobby Gucci is Bobby Gucci, and that's who you get. And he's won the Manager of the Year award. What? How many times? 3, 4?
a bunch.
Yeah, a bunch of times. Shannon Barney's the only other manager that has that title.
MF5 had one.
Okay. Yes, you're right. So I think that's going to be interesting to see the flex that we're going to get with some of these managers, because now that some of them this is their second year, this is their sophomore year. So what are they going to do with it? How are they going to adapt and change with all of, especially the newbies that we have coming in, the rookies that we have coming in here? I don't want to call them newbies. Sorry. The rookies coming into the season. How are they going to adjust? Most of the people that are involved already understand the gameplay. So that's nothing that they have to worry about, is trying to teach someone how to play the Schmoedown game. But I do think it will be interesting to see these managers flex up a bit this season.
Well, the thing about being a adaptable manager that is a major strength is that especially when you go to draft people, if you are a more rigid manager in your style, like whatever style that may be, you have to draft people to fit your style, because otherwise you're not going to get the most out of your players. If you're an adaptable manager, you can draft just the best people and then adapt yourself to those people. Who's to say which is better, which is not? I mean, sometimes it works out where you just have like 4 people that fit your style and you get the most out of those 4 people and maybe you win a title. Other times, I got 10 people. I can get the most out of all 10 of these people. I'm going to win a title because of that. So again, it's a new league. It's a new, this is the 8th season, but this is the 2nd season of this format. So we're still learning. The managers are still learning. And I love to see the managers anytime I can.
Well, beyond just the managers, what's interesting to me also is just the factions in general. This being the 2nd full year of factions, we had a year where they kind of understood the idea of getting a faction involved, getting faction points involved, getting things. I know some factions did more together than others. Corruption was very famous last year for it got so close that they wanted to keep everybody together. They had these study sessions together and everything else. Now that we're seeing that, I feel like we're getting more from that, and people are benefiting more from having that support. I know at one point, we'll talk about this later on probably, Mara mentioned how she would ever want to go without a manager again or without a faction behind her, because so many people supported her in the dungeon. Right there, we talk about the dungeon right there. So the factions themselves are almost as important as the manager. They may not be able to help you with specifics. Like I know, again, I'll talk about Mara. She was on the Action Guys tonight, and she had a great interview, so you go check that out. She mentioned how Bateman couldn't help her with the specifics about with as he said, the 9th elf in Lord of the Rings. He can't help you with that, but he can help in other ways, and that's important. Right. It meant a lot to her, and Molly has also said it meant a lot to her as well. So that's a very great thing moving forward. The winning factions and the one that supports each other the best. And I got to tell you, from what I know of the dungeon is not only has great players, they have a team that looks like they're committed to working together cohesively. And that's what worked for Corruption this year. I think this might work just as well for the dungeon this year.
I think that for the most part, just about every faction now has kind of that sort of that mentality, that sort of get together, they've been getting together. I mean, even we talk about the Gucci, Finstock exchange. That's everybody thought oh, this is just a bunch of random people. They've been showing that they've been getting together and doing all these things. So
yeah, I will say, Finstocker, Babaguchi, we question how does he alter for his players, but he has a team that the Barbarian. literally put together. I mean, it's a joke. It was a joke. Like every time Gucci mentioned the dossier went up like 100 pages each time he mentioned it, got bigger and bigger. But he really did put in the kind of work, and they met with these people before they made the draft. So now they have a team that's already been working together even before the draft in a way. So they got a lot of work being done behind the scenes that you're not even really aware of how fully it goes down. And that's what it is. The faction that stays together is going to win the best, I think.
That's funny. Do we know who the team captains are? Have they announced that yet?
No, they haven't. I don't know if they're going to necessarily. I kind of wonder if they're going to at this point.
I feel like that's fine. I was against having the rule book be public. I understand it now. Like, I totally get it. It's been explained, and I completely agree. But whenever the talks about having the rule book was first coming, I was like, no, I don't. That's gonna give too many people too many elbows to push around. But if they keep that close to the chest, also I'm happy for that. If it gets out there in the open, I think it'd be interesting to know like who's who said something somewhere. I can't. Paul Oyama on Sunday Coffee, Ben Goddard's podcast that he does. Paul Oyama was on there this morning, and I think he was saying something about like that, like maybe he's kind of a team captain. I just walked in and caught like that end of it, so. Having someone on like Paul, Bib saying that he's team captain of Mercs completely makes sense. Paul being team captain for Swag totally makes sense. So I like that.
Either Rocco will probably be the team captain of FinStock Exchange, even if it's really Barbarian doing more of the legwork underneath, I think, at that point, because Barbarian did all the dossier work. I know that much. But yeah, it's right, the same thing. But as long as everyone's on the same page, it doesn't really matter. I think it'll just help out in different ways. So.
Yeah, and that's different.
I mean, these are
go for it, Belford.
I mean, these are all just like made up positions at this point. Even manager, as much as like we like to think of like the manager. Like there are players who need a manager, and there are still players who don't need a like. What manager is going to do something for like Alex Damon before he goes into a Star Wars match? Like, I mean, there's you're not going to get any more prep or anything like that. Now, maybe now that he's in the IG, yes, that comes into play. But again, there are people who probably want to be managed, and there are probably people who don't want to be managed. Team captains, all this other stuff is just hyperbole. I feel like, and one of the big things is, again, we're only in the second season of this format. We don't know what is tried and true and what's not. So
it's going to evolve. It's going to evolve as we go further on. Obviously, this year is already much more complex and different than last year was, as far as things go. The intertwining, you see what works, what doesn't work, and at the end of the year, we'll probably switch things up even more here and there. I mean, have the assistant manager thing that they're trying this year, which is right now a list of potential people who might be able to call on. That might get expanded next year, depending on how it's used this year. So, I mean, we're still a young league, still a young, evolving league at this point. I mean, this is, again, the second season with managers and factions. This is far from being a finished work at this point. But I love what we got
and
so far.
The assistant managers that are coming in, those are people that are not on the faction.
Right.
No, they're separate
lists. And they're not team specific either.
Right.
They're not team specific. It's like whoever is around that day kind of thing. I think Jerry Washington might be on that list. I don't know exactly who it is necessarily, but or they need to get at the time. But all managers seem to agree with it, and they seem fine with it. So
is a PLD on that list?
Fuck no.
The answer to that.
Imagine. Look at Paul. He did that on purpose. He's doing that on purpose.
Let's just do the whole thing, all right? Like, oh no! Where did Paul go?
Right.
Paul.
We're all pushing, but we're all literally pushing buttons at the same time. There you go. Do it again. All right. One of us is in charge of the buttons. All right. There we go. Got it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So I want to point out something that Fool's Gill is talking about in the chat. Second year in this format, but we had managers since 2016. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Managers work differently now this season than they did in previous seasons before. Like I'm trying to think of an example of a manager like from DC Movie News. No, not Gucci, because Gucci is still like someone, but like those. So it's like play managers that happened.
Yeah.
I'm trying like a DC movie.
Like Ricky Hayberg.
Ricky Hayberg being a manager and stuff. Those were considered managers back in those days. But are they still the same type of caliber of managers that we have now? Unfortunately, they're not. Not saying that they couldn't be. It's just managers have a very different role now and it's amped up like crazy. But these factions are factions that the way that we've been doing these factions, that's only been around for a couple of years. And I think that's a very different dynamic than managers to work for. That's why I think it's super fun to see the evolvement of managers inside of this league, because it's definitely stepped up since 2016.
And just what we're saying, Fool's Guild is an evolution. Like, yeah, it's the second year in this format. We've had managers, but we're definitely different than we were then. It's still much different. I think it's a lot different this year than it was last year. So, I mean, every year that we get closer, we're going to get a little bit more involved. So.
Well, and also it's like any other sport. Like, as soon as something works for one person, everyone else tries to be like that person. So corruption won last year. Now everyone's trying to dissect what corruption did to win and try to, be like that. And that's why you saw in the draft, how many rookies did we see get drafted? Oh, because everyone's looking for the next Adam Collins. Now they're going to find out real quick that that's probably not possible. You're not going to find another Adam Collins. And so maybe next year we get something different based on who wins. If corruption wins again, then we get to try even more.
If
Gucci wins, holy crap. Right. If Gucci wins, we're going to have like names we've never even heard of, that no one had ever heard of being drafted. Mm-hmm. So
right. It's the Moneyball situation. That's what it is. You try to see what's underrepresented and what they can get you an advantage in the league, and you run with it. Gucci's going all rookies. That's what he wanted to do.
That term keeps coming up. I guess I should watch that movie.
It's a great movie.
I know that it's an actual
good movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I do have to watch that movie. So final thoughts on this Laura Kelly, Molly Damon match. Belford.
I'm whoever wins between DiMolanta and Damon, be afraid. Be very afraid. Because Laura Kelly is on a mission.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Billy 100%. I think Laura Kelly wants it real bad. And I'm going to be interested to see that match. I'd love to see a Laura Kelly Damon rematch, because Laura Kelly is not the same player she was when she faced Damon at the Spectacular. He's upped her game level a bunch. So I would love to see it happen. So we'll have to find out.
Yeah, I don't think Laura Kelly is going to throw matches just because she doesn't want to be managed by Winston. That doesn't seem like that's in her personal character to do that. And I think with the way that we all saw her play, oh my gosh, I feel like I want to see her play Alex Damon now. Like I want to see Andrew DiMolanta play, because I'm ready to see what he's bringing into this season, because Andrew DiMolanta definitely had, he's got a list. He's got a hit list. Like, oh my gosh, I just got reminded of Brandon Hanna's hit list when he did that. And Andrew DiMolanta was out for blood, and we know that he's taking it seriously. So I think an Andrew Laura Kelly match would be fun either way. But I really, after watching Laura Kelly in this, I really want to see her go against Alex Damon. That's going to be nuts. And I can't wait to see Molly do more, because Molly did a great job in this match. She crushed it. Laura Kelly just had a perfect match. So I can't wait to see Molly play again also anywhere. I think it would be fun to see her play Ace. I do think that that's a great match. But overall, I love what the storyline is doing. And I hope that this Laura Kelly hating being on swag completely goes through for as long as it can.
That's a good segue, right? Because that wasn't the only person who seemed to hate Winston last night.
Oh my gosh. Poor Winston.
Like the Laura Kelly thing, we kind of expected a little bit, because that was obviously what had happened before. And it wasn't that we expected it, but when she did, it kind of makes sense to continue that storyline. All we have now is we have Winston with Chandra, and Chandra's lashing out at Winston. The first time I thought, I was like, oh, is this something that's important? Is this something that's is this something real, or is this kind of a joke between the two? As it went on,
it came out of nowhere, and it came super sudden, because it didn't seem like that from the beginning. We were, C2A has an Epic group chat, so I was watching, and running around my house doing some stuff during the match, and I saw something inside of the group chat. Someone had said, I can't remember who it was, said something inside of the group chat about Chandra being upset at Winston or something like that. And I was like, what do you mean? No, like I didn't see that at all. And then I started paying attention to the match a little bit more, like instead of just listening, I started watching, and Chandra was definitely getting into that mode. And I just feel like it kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I didn't expect that at all. It was really kind of strange. I was like, what the fuck is going on at this point? And I'll spoiler before we get into the in depth of the match. I kind of have this feeling like this is not the end of this. I think this is like we already know that Ace, for example, has a built-in storyline reason, even if it's storyline on who it was. Ace has the storyline reason where you took Laura Kelly over me.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I going to fight for you? Where's your loyalty there? So that makes sense that would happen. Well, what's happened if like Polyama has a match and Polyama starts trashing Winston? Where is the storyline going? Is Winston going to have like is it supposed to be? It's war, but I didn't realize it was going to be war between
against your manager.
Interfactional
wars.
We're talking about how
that breaks my heart because y'all know me. I'm a swag girl, drip all day long, baby. So it broke my heart to see Winston have to go through what he was going through. Like I think he's a nice man.
I think Winston needs a big hug after Sunday. He can handle anything as far as it goes, but my God. Woof, woof.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So that was kind of nuts. So let's get into this Chandra Dandapani, former IG champ, against current new spoilers. Also, we didn't say this at the top of the show, y'all. Super sorry, but we're spoiling everything.
This is we're a sport now. There's no spoiler ban anymore. We're just gonna go on and say fuck it. Fuck it. We're gonna go live, as we say.
We'll do it live. Yes, exactly. So spoilers. Mara Knopik is once again, there's peace, there's balance in the world. Mara Knopik is now our current Schmoedown Inner Geekdom champion, and I couldn't be happier. Big shout out to Chandra pulling off some epic heel work, making almost literally everyone hate him. Sorry, buddy, but people wanted Mara to win this so bad. I started crying.
I lost my shit.
I'm a big baby. So, watching Mara scream for Dan, like as soon as she did that, I just started bawling. Oh my God, y'all, it was so stupid.
Because she started crying. Like, Dan, come here. They're hot. Everybody had counted her out. Everybody had said, oh, she had ring rust. Been 2 years since she had performed. It was a totally new game, yada, yada, yada. I don't give a flying. She came in, she took care of business. She took out Chandra, who was supposedly the most dominant champion, yada, 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 we ever seen, blah, 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 I heard. And Mark took care of it. I could not have been more excited for her. I could not have been more like on her side and waiting. As soon as that final question was answered, oh, so beautiful. Such a beautiful thing. And not just because I'm a Dungeon fan, because I am, but Speaking of the dungeon, big shout out to Robert Parker. Thank you so much, babe. Robert Parker and I are supposed to go on a Die Hard date, and it's my fault that I haven't followed up on that. Super sorry. But he did donate into the Streamlabs. $5 Streamlab. Thank you so much, babe. Of the 7 other IG champs in history, Mara has beaten 4 of them one-on-one. Nobody else gets close to that. She is the IG GOAT for the record, the different eras, everything. Absolutely agree. Yeah. I mean, the only other person in the conversation would maybe Rachel, but Mara beat Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to argue that at this point.
Mara beat Rachel. Mara beat Mike. Mara beat Chandra. Big name she hasn't beat is Smets. Like that's the name that we wanted that to happen in Houston last season, and it didn't happen. So. Also, she talked about action guys. The concept of Dan Murrell as a cat lady is just really my heart.
Go back, y'all. After this video, y'all go and watch the action guys. They had Mara Knopik on there, and she was talking about Dan Murrell being a cat mama, and I love that.
It was a beautiful thing. It was definitely a beautiful thing, no doubt about that.
You know what? One of my biggest takeaways from this now is it's funny because we have a Star Wars match, we have an IG match. The Star Wars belt is probably the hardest belt to win because Alex Damon's had a stranglehold on it for so long. The IG belt is the hardest belt to keep.
Yep.
Yes.
Has anybody defended it twice successfully?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think
anyone has defended it twice successfully. Like,
no, if Chandra would have beaten Mara, then that would have been the first time that someone would have defended the belt twice, or whatever. Yes, y'all know what I mean. I'm sure. Sorry.
Which is crazy. Like, I think it's there's just so many good people in the IG division. It's stacked. It's getting more stacked this season. I mean, the number 1 and number 2 overall picks were both IG players.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly they're both, there. Chandra's still right there. It's that division is stacked.
Well, yeah, it used to be that Star Wars was more stacked, but like as far as it goes, IG is. It used to be a Star Wars was if you get a question wrong, you're done. That's kind of what it is. IG is getting to that point now. At this point, it's not quite there. I think I think it's IG's a little more broader base. There's so many more questions, and Star Wars only has the certain amount of movies where IG has a lot more. But even so, it seems like that. IG's getting to be that level as well.
There we go. Thanks, Meg. So Ben Rayner in the chat had said Inman defended twice, right? And then Meg's Inman only once for that. Okay, so yeah Inman defended once. I'm relying on the chat.
Yeah. I mean, Star Wars has that, like, you have to go perfect to win, but you still only have to go perfect in Star Wars.
Right.
IG, you got to be perfect or as close to perfect as possible in so many different areas that we talked about. They're adding new areas with this. Now we have swashbuckling and graphic novels and these other sort of things into the IG, which is just expanding the division. The other thing that's super impressive about Mara is, she's got to be getting ready to be a Star Wars player too. So
yeah,
to be studying all of this knowledge is just so impressive, and she was so impressive on this night. She also talked about in the Action Guys how she felt in control in this match, which, I mean, it showed. She looked like she was in control 100%.
Yeah, it did. And some people mentioned like they said like it looked like she wasn't confident or something. And I don't think that was the case at all. It was more a case of she was just being very serious. She was just she was very focused about what she was doing. She wanted to make sure she was doing things right. I mean, she even said that she second guessed herself out of an answer. One of the rare misses she had was the history of violence with Ed Harris question that about the sport, and she had written down the right sport. But then because Chandra had given I think it was dodgeball as his answer, made her second guess herself in terms of like making it an inside sport, which is why she jumped to basketball. But at the same time, like she just wanted to make sure she had things right, and she did that through most of the match. I mean, looking at the breakdown, they actually matched each other quite a bit. They both had a similar round one. They both missed one question in round one. It was round two they did well in. It was really the betting round gave Marge a little bit of an edge with the one extra point. And it came down to they answered their 2 3s and 5s, and that's how it came down to. So it was a great match by Chandra as well. Chandra like shit the bed or anything. He did his job right. It's just that Mara was just that much better.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, usually go ahead, Danny.
I have opinions on people saying that she didn't look into it or that she didn't seem pumped about it. That's such a that's no one's gonna say that about Dan Murrell. No one's gonna say that about Dan, but they're gonna say it about Mara. So that's my opinion on it.
I mean, different people celebrate different ways. Different people, react different ways. Like, clearly she was into it because she yelled for Dan. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and then like in any Schmoedown match, if you get to a 5-point question and you answer your 5-point question correctly, you've done your job. You should have that. You win most matches. Most people who answer a 5-point question correctly win the match. And Chandra did that, and she just came right back and smashed him. And I love the fact that she knew all of his answers too. Like that's even like as is impressive because she said she knew everything that he got asked too. So it's like it's beautiful.
Danny Koss lost in the chat playing baseball in a gym isn't easy. What a random question to get. So I've never seen a history of violence.
I don't watch Ed Harris movies.
Just give me a quick one sentence why it's in an inner geekdom division.
It's a graphic novel. It's
a graphic novel. That's the only reason.
Yes, thank you. So graphic novel is a new category inside of this. We're going to get to categories in just a bit. Let's keep talking about 5 rounds. I love championship matches because 5 rounds, it really lets you see it. The way that Mara won is my favorite ways for people to win is both of them having to hit their 5s, which means that it goes down all the way to the wire and there's nothing that anyone can say. They answered all of their questions and Mara got most of them right. And so I really enjoyed that, especially in a 5-round format where anything can go in any direction, being able to get all the way down to the last question and then winning. I think that really proves a little bit more. I mean, you win. A win is a win. You can win, but wait, what's the Fast and Furious quote?
Doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile.
There you go. Thank you. That's right. But I do enjoy it when people win in that sort of way. So how do you all feel about these 5-round matches?
I miss the buzzers. I 100% miss the buzzers. The buzzers add just a little bit different element of it's not what you know. That's the one place in a championship match in the studio where you can really get in somebody's head and you can pop off on them. It can also separate yourself from your opponent or get you back into a match. Famously, Paul Oyama, when he's losing to Dan Murrell heading into the speed round, he knows he has to send a message to Dan, and he does it in the speed round. He pops off in the speed round, gets back in the match, and wins the match. Bateman has used the speed round like a weapon against people. I think Bateman might still have the title if there was still the old speed round. Because especially in the second match against Dan, I think he would just maybe trounced him in the speed round. So I do miss that. That's the only real thing.
Fully agree with you by that. I fully agree with you. I fully agree with you on that. The buzzers are my thing. I love the fact it's much more of some people have argued that, well, it's a mental game and it doesn't challenge your knowledge. Fuck that. I like the fact that it's mano-a-mano. It's one-on-one. And it's a physical aspect. No, it's about mentally getting to it quicker. Who's going to get to it?
I'm sorry. How does not hitting a buzzer early enough not a mental stress? You have to be aware of the question, of your physical stand, all of that. I'm sorry. I do think that does involve some sort of mental strategy inside of it in some way, just like what Billy was saying.
And the intimidation factor alone.
It's a huge mental thing because
right.
The thing about it is you could know every single answer in the speed round and get no points from it because the other person just buzzed in before you and it gets in your head. Right. Whereas with this, it's like I answered the 8 questions or 9 questions. I'm still good.
It's lackadaisical about it. And so at the end of the day, this match is another reason why it says that. They both got 8 points. They both moved on. All right, they both had 8 points. They didn't even change the match really that much. But back in the day when Bateman had that, like Bateman versus Murrell, that factor of got it, boom, got it, boom, got it. And you're somebody's reeling now. And somebody I've mentioned makes the game now more competitive against each other, which is what you want to see. Not just competitive about knowledge, competitive against the other opponent. I want to beat you down and get your points. I'm taking your points and you're not getting any, bitch, because that's part of the game.
Yeah, and now we don't get any fun moments like Brendan Meyer.
Brendan Meyer impregnating buzzers everywhere.
Love it.
Brendan Meyer going balls deep on the buzzers is a.
Everyone should learn from Brendan Meyer. Justin the Juice inside of the chat says, I liked Fast Money at first, but now that we've seen it so much, they always end in pretty much the same points. I agree with Justin. 100%. I do like this.
This is what they should do for Fast Money. It's a little tweak. Because we're going to have Fast Money until we get back in the studio. If you're in the lead, you can say if you want to go first or second, right? They ask you the question. However long you take to answer the questions, that's how long it gets to take to answer the questions. So if you take only 45 seconds to answer the questions, that's all they get. They don't get the full minute. Now, if you take the full minute, they get the full minute. But that's as long as it can go is a minute. But if you take 30 seconds or 45 seconds, you're just popping off. That's all they get. You don't get the full minute. And that could be a way to tweak it out. And it puts more pressure on your opponent. And that's what the Schmoedown is about, is putting pressure on your opponent. And that's what differentiates it from just answering questions in a bar or answering questions wherever, is the pressure.
I like that aspect to it. I like that aspect a lot. That's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting for all of the rookies that are going to be extremely used to this online format, used to fast money. It's going to be interesting to see them get into, if we hopefully get back into studio matches sometime this year, it'll be interesting to see how that goes down. If
we do know that Christian,
because it is a championship format. So if anyone does get there, anyone that has not played for that format, I think that'll be interesting. Okay, sorry.
Christian has definitely said that he likes buzzers for sure, and so we're going to get back there. People are going to have to learn. I hope people, if I was a competitor, I'd be practicing with them now. I'd be practicing to get ready for it, because that could be a distinct advantage to somebody who, like a Bateman, like a Brendan Meyer, who just is that good at it.
Yeah.
Dan Merle was not that great at that aspect of it.
Can we talk about the people talk about ring rust with Mara, and typically ring rust is thought of as your trivia knowledge. We kind of knew her trivia knowledge was there anyway, and the trivia knowledge was going to be there. The thing that was most impressive for her was the way she handled the game and the mechanics of the game. She used her repeats wisely. She was ready for the wheel. She was ready for the wheel in the betting round. She knew which categories were going to be 3 points, 2 points, 1 point, maybe even 0 points, and vice versa. And that's where ring rust can come in, and there was none. I mean, she was so impressive the way she just maneuvered the whole game.
Yeah, 100%. She knew what she was doing, and I think that's part of also having a faction. I think that's where the faction probably helped her out, getting used to that as well. Having helped train Dan for a while. I mean, she was there with Dan training him. People were saying Dan was training her. No, she was training Dan. As far especially as IG goes. Got to give Mara the credit she deserves. I mean, sometimes I think she gets a little in Dan's shadow, and it's just not fair, because she's equally as good in her own fashion as Dan is, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that dungeon roster has everyone that you want to help you study with. Mara, Ben, Dan, Smet,
Robert
Parker. Yes,
Drew. Grant's even been
Drew
hard on studying at this point. Adam Witt, who is supposedly Kaiser's right-hand man. They kind of keep depicting themselves as the old grumpy old men coaches from the Natural, so to speak, and that makes sense. It actually makes a lot of sense. But yeah, they're chock full of those kind of people to help you.
I want to ask a question. Sorry.
It's people who love the game too. That's one of the thing about the dungeon. Everyone in the dungeon that seems to be in the dungeon is people who love the game of the Schmoedown. Not just the trivia, not just the fact that it's movie stuff. It's the actual gameplay, and they love it.
I agree. I love it too.
Back to this question from Camshaft. What do you guys think of the code word talk?
I love it. It's silly and stupid, but I love it. It's how I think it's funny as hell. I don't know if you saw.
Well, last year we loved behind the scenes that we saw with the competitors, and it's something that the managers realized that they needed to adjust to, because everyone could hear them talk and everyone could hear what they were saying. So now we got to talk in code. We got to talk in, we have to be prepared for this. And
it's entertaining though. It's entertaining. They make it entertaining. There's just a little extra theatrical aspect to it. It's silly and stupid talk. Where are they getting this from? But you kind of I wonder what they're going to use for code words this time. It's funny on LGR. Kaiser was on LGR yesterday. They talked about they want to use, Kaiser said, what if they use after show hosts as code words?
Like a William Harrison kind of saying, I did like how they talked about Ferris.
That's right. That's actually how the conversation began, because Justin Hamilton said that he heard, when you were talking about ferrets, he thought he heard him say Ferris instead of ferrets, and I got that too. I heard that too myself, honestly. The Kaiser's like, yeah, we should use a PLD is going to be a 0. If you're using PLD, it's going to be you're going 0, right? That's because
yeah, exactly.
I think that's funny as hell.
I love it. I think that's hilarious. I know that a lot of people are excited about this possibly being something like if whenever I can't talk at all today. Whenever we do get back into studio matches, having the little insight, like having the managers mic'd up and releasing that to like patrons. I don't like that idea. I that's why I like that they're doing code words. It was such a bummer to have to listen to everything on screen. I know that it's fun, it's interesting sometimes to really like get the inner workings of it, but sometimes it's just a little too much info that you're putting out there in the world. So I'm glad that they switched over to code words and doing that. And I really hope that it doesn't say I can't talk at all. Set code words. I hope it's something that they switch up every matches and stuff like that, so people don't get on there, don't pick up on it and try to figure out all of that stuff. But I do love the code words.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Getting back to I think it was Ferris's question of who Chandra should face next.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Bring that in there.
Yeah. I think either like maybe Chance again or Kalinowski.
I want to see Parker.
You want to see Chandra go up against Parker? Okay.
I want to see Chandra go against another dungeon member. And we know how we are with Parker here. So Parker, I want Parker to get. I think Parker got a little bit of a shaft last year. He had a lot. He missed a question about colors and it derailed him, and everybody's calling him a fluke and everything else. I want to see Robert Parker get his shot at redemption right away, and let's get him up against Chandra and let's see what goes down. So that's my call.
I like that. I do like what Billy was saying. Also, going up against Mike, I think it would be good. But I do also like that very much. I think I would like to see him go up against Robert Parker. But I think it would also maybe not necessarily with someone that's newer. Thank you. I think we're both pushing buttons at the same time. There we go. Maybe someone who is I can't think of the words. Anyways, yeah, Robert Parker will be my pick also there. That's
I do think that it's already revealed that Chandra will have Chandra will face Mike. I think that's the call that's going to happen. I think that's what he said there. It's going to be a number one contender match. That makes sense. I mean, it does make sense. No doubt about it. But yeah, but the quicker we can see Parker against him, that's what would make me happy. But.
Yes, the Ferris Muthana question that Billy was asking about are the categories. What are your thoughts on the new IG categories like swashbuckling and graphic novels?
I love it.
Me too.
Any more categories we can have are, to me, makes it fun. Of course, that's because I'm not studying them, so maybe they might have a different opinion on that as far as that goes. But I love getting the swashbuckling. People seem to bitch a lot about. I feel like sometimes about, oh, that's not an IG movie. That's not an IG movie. I don't care what you say. If it's a geeky enough movie, why not? Like, I love the fact we can add Pirates of the Caribbean questions. I love the fact we can have Indiana Jones questions in there. Willow, all of that. That's fun stuff for me to talk about. I want them to ask questions on that. So I am all good. Yeah, it is a little odd that Willow is in swashbuckling. I'll agree with that, but I guess it's more of an adventure.
Anything that's Willow in there, I don't care. Willow is the ultimate geek movie. So
I love Willow. Willow's one of my favorite ones. So yeah, no, I agree. So I love the new categories.
The most interesting one is graphic novels, because like a movie like A History of Violence, which on the surface, if you just look at that movie, there is no way it goes into IG. There's nothing about it that says IG, but it's a graphic novel, so that opens up. There are graphic novels. Brandon had it correct. The greatest man alive.
I decide what's an IG movie.
What I want to know from Brandon is does he have challenges already like lined up for these movies, or like as far as like the Green Hornet goes, was he ready to challenge already from the new list?
Well, I think that's the good thing about graphic novels, is that it's something new that you can easily point to and say, you can't challenge this. There's a graphic novel about it. Now you can challenge what's a graphic novel versus what's a collection of comics and stuff like that. But I mean, there's graphic novels literally about anything. Does manga count now? Is that in there? Like,
but Snowpiercer will be put into that also, right? Like,
I have the list.
You have the list of categories or list of movies that are
novels.
Oh, okay.
So it
graphic
is.
novels
There
that
is a
were.
set list. Okay.
There's a list right now. It's 300, 300 Rise of an Empire, Atomic Blonde, Sin City, A Dame to Kill For, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, Extraction, Road to Perdition, History of Violence, Oblivion, Watchmen, I, Frankenstein, Hercules from 2014, From Hell, Cowboys and Aliens, and V for Vendetta.
No Snowpiercer.
No
Okay.
Snowpiercer, yeah.
The other interesting thing we found out is that now there's no longer a differentiation between Marvel and MCU and DC and DCEU, which is going to hurt some players because you can't put them both on the wheel anymore. You couldn't have Marvel and MCU on the wheel and be like, oh, I got 2 shots to get something I'm super good at. Now it's back to just being 1 shot, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's not really...
Real quick, I just want to throw out there, Snowpiercer is in the list, but not in graphic novels, under the dystopian time travel movie, dystopian future time travel thing. So Snowpiercer is there in IG, just not in graphic novels.
Right, which I think Scott Pilgrim was already in there under like comic book movies before, and now it's under graphic novels. So
I do like that Jurassic Park is in there. I know someone put that in the chat earlier, but I love that Jurassic Park is its own category now.
Yeah,
it's so good. I love those movies. I love them all. I'm so sorry. I am a Jurassic World apologist.
We agree.
I love it.
Stormy Woods in the chat says, my heart goes out to Winston. Both of his players were so disrespectful. Disrespectful.
Where's RB3 when you need him?
Yes. Where's that?
When you have this chill, fast and loose attitude that it comes back to bite you. You know, you're just dripping and swagging around. I don't know how this stuff works, but
Billy, when you say drip, it sounds like you got to go to the hospital. That's
exactly that's what I think it is. Avoid the clap, Chippy Duty. That's a movie.
Yeah, but so.
Anything else on these new IG categories?
The specific ones that were mentioned, no, we can get into the rest of the categories at some point soon. That's what we're going to get to next. But basically, I think at the end of the day, we like the new categories, and I like the idea. But yeah, actually, Billy, let me just touch base on that, and we'll get into a little more of the MCU Marvel thing. That's an idea. A lot of people didn't like that. I read some things in different groups that they didn't like that because they wanted the MCU separate from Marvel. But PJ made a great point in that we are entering the world of the multiverse soon. You're having all these different characters from different universes appearing. So in Spider-Man 3, you have if Tobey Maguire appears in Spider-Man 3, does that make Spider-Man Tobey Maguire movies, is that MCU now? Or is it not? It's all blending in.
You combine these categories that there's not that much. This movie-wise, who cares? It's just a way to what studio's doing it. We don't do that for anything else. Sony doesn't have a category on the main wheel or Miramax or whatever. And then it allows more room for these other categories to flourish. And I can't wait for these to show up in round 1, because I think that's when people are going to start getting tripped up a little bit in round 1,
Well, the other also aspect of it, again, we'll probably get into this a little bit as we go on, but having the subcategories now, having the Batman, Superman categories, things like that specifically, lets you dive a little deeper into those movies that have probably Batman and Superman are 2 the ones that have the most comic book movies about it. So taking a little deep dive into that. Versus you can have a Batman question in the DC, obviously. You can get a little deeper dive into when you have the specific Batman question, Superman question. That's why I want to see someone take that wheel slice and see how deep is that hole going.
Yep. So getting back to this Chandra Mara match, we all got the rule book. Talked about the rule book a little bit earlier in the show, but we all got it. We all understand that there's one particular thing inside of the rule book, and it was about challenges and how they were going to be monitored in a way. So the way that Mara answered her Indiana Jones question wasn't technically a straight answer. The way that she answered it was, we named the dog Indiana, which is my favorite fucking movie quote ever. Like I say it all the goddamn time. It's my favorite quote from a movie.
One of these days, I'm gonna have Jake. By the way, I'm gonna cut that. I want to have Jake edit those out for every time you've ever said it on Call to Action, and just have a running joke of all the different times you said it. I love it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I say it all the time. Y'all. I'm not even lying when I say it all the damn time. It's my favorite fucking movie quote. It really is. But she didn't straightforward answer it, and Chandra didn't challenge it. We've seen Chandra give out some challenges before that were kind of questionable, but now that we know with the rule book going up, you can't give these petty challenges anymore. So how do you all feel about the way that Mara answered and the challenge? Like, would you have felt like in previous seasons that would have been something that could have been challenged?
The precedent, honestly, and we love this precedent here. The precedent is set in the Mike Kalinowski match against Jeff Snyder. He sings the song Flash. And then says, if he had just said Gordon, if he sings Flash Gordon, he gets it right. And even though he said all this other stuff, she said the answer. So the answer is there in what she's saying. And technically it's like someone asks you a question and then you repeat the question and the answer. Like that doesn't make the answer any less correct, you know, like
right. Agreed. I agree 100% with Billy at that point. The precedent's been set at this point, and the petty challenge thing is gonna stop these things from happening as well. I think so. I was happy with the non-challenge aspect of that.
Me too. Me too. And I love with that. Y'all should have seen me light up when they asked that question. Here at home, as soon as I heard it, I started we named the dog Indiana.
The people it's going to affect the most are going to be the people who like to use challenges as weapons. It's your Ben Bacon's, your Jeff Snyder's, your, you know, even like Gucci to an extent. They can't do that anymore. You can't use a challenge like a timeout or ice the kicker, that sort of thing anymore. For the most part, people don't challenge things pettily. People think that there needs to be a challenge. Which I think is good. I think it's a good thing. You have your timeout now if you want to time out and
I don't know. Timeouts were kind of taken out of the latest rule book. I don't know if
that's right.
Happened or not. I don't we haven't really gotten any official word on that. Like it was just all of a sudden not there, and you know that's damn sure.
I'm waiting for someone to just disconnect on purpose to get like a timeout. Like I'm having Brendan Meyer issues.
Okay. All right, Paul.
I cut out. Perfect way. Who's acting is still better.
Paul, you can't play like that because we'll kick you off the screen real fast.
That's true. So. That's true. That's why I moved my eyes so that you can tell actually what's playing. I know you too well.
Yeah. So
you know what though? I want to throw something in there real quick. Team Guy. I love the fact that Geyser's Chandra guy was so fucking funny.
It's so good.
And he had so he mentioned Guy a couple of times. I feel like that was his way of keeping the injured guy in the
freedom cannon.
So we're still around, possibly.
Yeah, shout out to Jesse Swift in the chat. What's up, dude? Hello, C2A. Who is excited for March 3rd? I wonder what that is. I wonder what's going on March 3rd.
Jesse Swift, why don't you come on Call to Action, Call Live, and tell us how excited you are for March 3rd?
Yeah, this is how we get guests on the show now. We just ask them from the chat. That's how we're going to start doing it. That's how we're going to win. That's how we're going to three-peat, baby!
Robert Parker, come on the show. Jesse Swift, come on the show. Ferris McDonough, come on the show.
StreamYard link inside of there. It's all good. Sorry, I forgot. My mind got thrown off. Where are we at, guys?
Well, Jesse Swift versus Zombie Rose is going to be a hell of a match. And,
yes.
But the juice and the rivalry.
The juice in the chat says we don't want Swift on here.
Jesse and
we need a Schmoebates with Jesse Swift and Juice's boy.
I like that
idea.
I like
his last name. That's a tough last name for me to pronounce.
Whitnabin. That I don't know if anybody saw his reaction video, but his reaction video not to himself getting drafted, but to Jesse getting drafted before him, has my favorite line in the history of this planet. I'm sweating with anger. It's so good. I need that t-shirt. Juice, get on that t-shirt. I'm sweating with anger t-shirt.
Okay, so Paul's gonna finally quit the podcast. Thank you so much, Paul. We really genuinely.
Thank goodness. There we go. We can get his name off there too. There we go. The best thing ever.
I'm going to. Oh, we got another Streamlabs donation. Thank you so much, Brandon Buck. So now timeouts aren't a thing. Do you think certain competitors will use a challenge as a timeout? That's very interesting, Buck. Challenges as timeouts, I do think that they can happen, but again, I think that goes back to the petty challenge sort of rule. I think it would definitely have to be a very, very valid challenge especially if they're just trying to use it as a timeout. I don't think that you really.
They're gonna have to be really careful about the way that they challenge things, because you could do a petty challenge and make it not seem petty. Because they could be like, "What's the name of the dog?" The dog. And they say, Indiana, and they're like, I thought it was Missouri. Can we look that up right quick? And it's like, we got to take the 5 minutes now to look it up, and we get a challenge, and it's clearly petty, but we make it look like it's not petty.
Right. So I think that's probably, I'll ask Paul that question again whenever Paul comes back on here, but I think that it would be tough to try to utilize a challenge for a timeout, especially with everyone trying to clean up on these challenge rules. So
yeah, I still think they should have a timeout. The timeout rule is that makes the most sense. Every other sport on the planet has timeouts, so if we're gonna be a sport, you get a timeout. I get a comfort break. That's the greatest name of a timeout ever, by the way, in sports history. It's from cricket. That's what they call timeouts. It's the comfort break.
Cam Shaft in the chat does have a question. Again, we're going to have to wait for Paul to come back for this one, but I'm curious about this too, Bill. Cam's asking, what is the MTS news on PLD? Tell us. I don't know if that means what's news that Paul has, or is Paul doing a show without us on his own channel?
It's that Paul's been fired forever from everything, and that he is now stricken from the record. He no longer exists. He is no longer part of any MTS related things or call to action related things, guys.
That's
forever.
Right. I'll ask him whenever he comes
snapped out of existence.
Oh, we got some questions to ask you, but before we get to that, Shmo Me the Money. If y'all have not gone to their channel and watched their stuff, please go and do that. Please subscribe to Shmo Me the Money. Oh my god, I love them so much. Jeff and Buck over there. Timeouts are a nightmare on digital. Where do player and a manager go to chat? Yeah, exactly. So that's how I feel about Paul. One of the questions that we got in the Streamlabs was from Brandon Buckingham saying, so now timeouts aren't a thing. Do you think certain competitors will use a challenge as a timeout? What are your opinions on that, Paul?
Well, that to me, it goes back to the petty challenge thing. But I think if they had the timeout, they'd be less likely to use the challenge to timeout. If there is no timeout, I could see them risking maybe testing those, like a kid with a parent, testing that boundary as far as maybe I could throw a timeout, maybe I could throw a challenge in there as a timeout. Maybe it's not quite petty enough to be called a petty challenge.
Right.
It'd be interesting to see them toe that line, because then if somebody, depending on how Christian, Mark, or whoever's in the desk feels, if they decide to say, you're fucking done, they might regret that, and maybe they'll push it back. I think it's gonna be a kind of give and take kind of atmosphere until we get that all figured out, where that boundary is, where that line is.
Oh, okay. So again, sorry, I'm looking at the chat, and Cam had asked us earlier, Paul, if you want to give us any information, you can, but I mean, no pressure. We're just going to keep bugging you about it. But Cam says there is going to be some big PLD news in his relationship to the MTS. So I think I know what she might be talking about, but He's doing this on purpose. Again, Paul is speaking while his mic is muted, refusing to give us the tea, and that's why he's
Paul going to the same bit more than once.
It's true. It's true. I wouldn't say it's big news. It's just it's. I mean, you guys obviously have known that I work with Coming Up Next before. It's engineering for Brad and Jen show, and that was cool. But there's a potential that I might have something in line to be a part of the team again in a different capacity. I wouldn't say it's huge things or anything like that, but when I can, of course, I'll let you guys know. I don't want to step on any toes or anything else. It's not my place to really talk about much, but it's cool. It's some cool things coming up, I think.
So Paul is basically confirming Team Action reunion. We got it. Everyone make sure to tweet that out. Paul confirms Team Action reunion.
Paul, you should really let us decide if something's cool before you just like blatantly say that it's something cool happening. Like, because your bench cool might be different than someone else's. I don't know.
I'll pass that along. Billy. I'll pass that along your level. You can let me know if it's not. If it is,
I have some really cool C2A news in the future, so stay tuned at all times to whenever I'm.
There's gonna be a lot of C2A news in the future. Also, y'all, beginning of March is our podiversary. We will be a podcast going strong for 3 years in March. We've been doing this shit for 3 years. Some of y'all a little less. I mean, we're not gonna measure dicks over here, but.
This thing wasn't even a thing until I got on it, so I don't know what that anniversary is, but it doesn't sound right. I'm a two-time award-winning journalist, so
March 8th is, I believe, the date that we first did anything. I think if you go back to our old videos, which are very different, it's a mostly different crew now from the first episode, but I believe that was done March 8th, 2018, and I cannot believe that we've been doing this for this fucking long, man.
There's some important dates in Call to Action history. There's that date. There's the whatever date it was that Nat hit live on accident. When I joined C2A, those are the 3 big milestone moments in the history of C2A.
Yeah. So let us know if you all want us to do something for C2A. I will gladly stress myself out a little bit more to plan that and organize it. If people want it. I think we're definitely going to do something for our patrons. Sign up for our Patreon, patreon.com/call-to-action-pod. Sign up there. Got some fun stuff coming up. Got a lot of stuff with that coming up. But I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself at this moment now. So, Paul, I'm going to let you kind of rein it in just a bit. Tell me where I'm supposed to be because my brain is going a million miles a minute right now.
Okay, well, first of all, the last thing I'll say is it was the date of when Nat pressed live accidentally. That was June 3rd, 2019. So that was our first time going live at that point.
Oh my gosh. That's so crazy that we were doing it for over a year before we started doing live shows. Wow.
All right. Anyway, we did mention before we broke down all the matches, the 2 matches, as much as we wanted to, and the exhibition as well. We love that the whole thing went down with the dungeon and with Mara, and everybody had a great match. We wanted to talk about the categories. I do have a list of the 2 new categories that we were talking about, and we can I'll just list them out, and if we want to talk about them and break them down any further, we can as we need to.
We're going to go back to old school C2A where we're going to be reacting to Paul announcing the
there you go. All right. The new categories. We start with the directors. The new directors that have been added to the wheel are Akira Kurosawa, which is very interesting.
I love that.
It's going to be a big hole for some people, I think, and I'm hoping it's going to make people watch more of his things as well. One for Video Drew specifically.
Hopefully they have their information correctly when they give the answers. Like, when did 7 Samurai come out?
Oh, yeah, that was a moment in Schmoedown.
Video Drew will like this one. We had David Lynch being added to the wheel. Definitely a nice one there. Going back to the classics, Frank Capra being added to the wheel.
Oh, interesting. It's a Wonderful Life. Nice.
Yeah.
And other things.
I mean, and other things too. Mr. Smith goes to Washington. I don't know.
Other things. I saw It's a Wonderful Life for the first time this past holiday season. So that's
trash. That movie is trash. What a terrible movie that is.
What? Keep going, Paul. We're kicking Billy off the podcast next. Keep going, Paul.
You know me. I said this to Paul. You know me. Is there anything about It's a Wonderful Life that would make you think that I would like that movie?
No, not one.
Happy, joyful.
Maybe Mr. Potter. Maybe.
Yes, man, the hero of that movie.
Yeah.
All right, another director added, which I'm excited about, Guillermo del Toro, which is a big.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I really like that.
Paul, you're not allowed to say his name. Danny, can you say his name, please?
Yes, please.
Guillermo de Toro.
That's so much sexier.
Sabes, cabroncito.
Guillermo del Toro.
Lo mismo que yo, Guillermo. Yo soy Guillermo. William es Guillermo.
Billy speaks more Spanish than I do. That can't. Everyone knows that now. He's just showing off at this point. Keep going, Paul.
Very good. Very good. All right. Are we done?
Yeah.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, Shyamalan. Nice.
Shyamalan. A very
Big fan.
Very big real fan at that point. And finally, the last director added I have is Robert Rodriguez.
Ooh, a Texas boy. That's a Texas boy right there.
Fun fact, I've said this once before on the podcast, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it again because it's a fun little brag. I got to do the hair I got to do hair for the bridal party at Robert Rodriguez's wedding a few years ago at this point.
I'm gonna pick up that name you just dropped there, Danny.
You're welcome. Thank you. I do want to put this up there really quickly. From Danny Cost Like Lust, I was on the famous Fly Girl episode with Janine and Alex. That is when we discovered that Billy Belford knew how to make GIFs and didn't tell us until he made the Fly Girl GIF.
That one somehow got deleted from our list.
Did it really? I was looking for it right now. Did it get deleted?
Yeah, it looks like. I mean, we have that looking one. We have
that one.
That one. We have that one.
More of me. I didn't make that one. That's all. That's a big Yakabeta original.
Although, of course, even though this is not a GIF, we do have the Hot Wonka.
The Hot Wonka. And this is my personal favorite one that we have on here that we mostly just do for us and whenever we're ribbing each other, and it's the infamous waterfall guy. Okay, that's it. We'll get back on track now.
All right, getting back on track. The new actor slices that we have. The first one, long time coming, Al Pacino. Duncan Chino himself never had a slice, and he's got one now.
That's interesting. Nice.
Another one for the Spanish-speaking crew. This is a fun Spanish-speaking name. Is Antonio Banderas.
Antonio Banderas.
I like that. Get that in there. Also, Bruce Willis gets a slice.
I mean, that's an interesting one because it's like, where do you draw the line on like shitty Bruce Willis movie?
When he started mailing it in.
God, that's going to be tough.
Some of those later ones are just tough to get through.
So bad.
All kidding aside, no, it is the Ed Harris slices added. I gotta just point, but like I say, it's what's funny about that to me is I joked about that for years, right? I was always kind of part of my bit. I know obviously it's a bit that we do, and I love it. I never actually expected it to happen. So when it did happen, I was like, holy shit. I do want to thank Christian for letting the Action Guys announce 5 slices and then let me debut it. It was very, very fun for me to be able to do it. I'm really happy and thankful that PJ added that. It should be a lot of fun. I like it. I actually, and that side, I will say, I like the idea of adding more supporting character actors because it's definitely a thing that you don't get highlighted as much. I think it's an interesting way to tackle questions. I think these supporting characters have been in like a ton of movies. Maybe they haven't done a lot of leading roles.
William Harold in the chat. Ed Harris is a bit
My love for him isn't a bit. I'll say that. It's the perhaps over exuberance and the hatred for everybody else. I think it's a bit. Anyway.
Jesse Swift is correct in the chat. It is heresy that the swashbuckling does not include the Princess Bride. That is.
It'll get there at some point. I feel like that'll happen.
The Dread Pirate Roberts is not swashbuckling.
I think it should be swashbuckling. I do agree with that. Inconceivable is what you should have said, Jesse.
To what Paul said about like character actors honestly is like the birth of movie trivia because it's that guy from that thing. It's
That's
like,
right.
who's that guy from that thing? And then knowing that was like you could like lord it over your friends, and that's what like brought us nerds together of lording our movie knowledge over our friends. And then we realized that maybe we don't know as much about movies as we thought we did.
True.
Me.
Well, that and to add on to that. That's exactly what you're talking about. Because like when you start talking about looking at those character actors, you're like, oh, I do that guy, I know that guy, I know that guy. Having a slice on that is just, it adds so much depth to the movies you think about. So I love that. I hope we get more character actors because that's what this is all about. It's more knowledge that we have. So
you know what? Now after all of this WandaVision hype, I would love to see a Catherine Hahn slice. I know that there's not too much that can happen, but I would love a Catherine Hahn slice.
Yeah, but you have to include movies and TV because she's so good on so many good TV things. Parks and Rec for 100%. So good in Parks and Rec.
Yes. So good. When she walks into Ben and Leslie's house in a poncho.
Covered in plastic. And then she gets the kid, like, hits her with a paintbrush or something. You see?
Oh, we're gonna talking about Parks and Rec. It's probably gonna summon Nat somehow. I feel like Nat's gonna end up popping up in the chat. Also, Nat did send us the and I totally forgot. I totally dropped the ball on that one. Oh my god! I asked Nat to do a fantasy update for us, and I don't have that set up at all right now. Oh my god.
Oh, we got time. I got a couple more things to do anyway. All right, I want to move on to a couple more of the categories here.
Oh yeah.
I got Jack Nicholson gets a slice. I'm happy to see that. Jack's got a lot of great movies. He's one of the guys like, oh, he didn't have a slice already? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite ones, and it's going to be an interesting one. Jackie Chan getting a slice.
Ooh. I like that.
So we have Jackie Chan and martial arts movies, right?
Jackie Chan and martial arts.
Because they announced martial arts movies. And so I love the fact that we're getting like Asian cinema, because we get, obviously this isn't all of Asian cinema, but we get martial arts movies, we get Kurosawa, we get Jackie Chan. I would love if they ever do Studio Ghibli, like that should be its own real slice, like things like that, like anything that expands what we know of what we consider cinema, like, or what your average person considers cinema.
100%.
I'm glad that you said Studio Ghibli. I'm going to bring this up again because it's what I thought about. Paul Yamet on Ben Goddard's podcast earlier today talked about Studio Ghibli and how that's a slice that he hopes to see in the future, because it's a low interest for some people, but anyone that understands those movies and anime in general really is into them. And I think that there's a bigger audience for it than a lot of people kind of realize. So I would absolutely love to see Studio Ghibli inside of the Schmoedown.
Yeah. So yeah, Jackie Chan, I know it's going to be more of the American-based movies. I think that's probably what they're going to start with. But I do like the idea of getting more Jackie Chan as far as I go. All right, moving on real quick. Another classic actor, James Stewart, getting a slice, which makes a lot of sense as far as that goes.
Yeah, Jimmy Stewart, nice.
I get Capra and Jimmy Stewart. Kill me now. Thank goodness I'm not a Schmoedown competitor, so I don't have to watch those crappy movies.
Billy, you don't watch good movies anyway.
That's true.
How dare you?
I'm fired now. Bye.
This is sure to be a fan favorite. I think. Sure to be a fan favorite slice. Keanu Reeves is going to be a slice, which is fun.
Yes.
Thank God.
Feel like I heard that somewhere else. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just me trying to manifest it, but I'm super pumped for the Keanu slice. Yes.
I can't wait for all these Schmoedown competitors to watch Chain Reaction a few more times.
Poor guys.
Classic.
Kevin Hart getting a slice, which is interesting for me.
Kevin Hart, you said?
That's one of those. That's a Ben Bateman slice. That's a slice that Bateman will watch every single one of his movies and will dominate that category, because it's not a very broad category.
Right. Agreed. Let's see. One of an Action Army favorite for sure. The Nicolas Cage slice. I love me Nick Cage, so that's a definitely good one.
The Beast. Not that big.
Man, they need a Samuel Jackson slice. That would be an amazing slice because that's such a huge body of work.
Oh, God, yeah.
And it's such a range of
Oh,
like,
so
oh my god.
weird.
I'm gonna bring back this age-old fun little thing. Paul, you can keep going. I just want to.
Time to Kill. Yes, I bring the book back. I get that.
Classic.
Oh,
Yeah, pulling something from my bookshelf to.
That's the only one of his books you should own.
It is actually the only Grisham book that I own.
It's the only good one. Don't own any other ones.
The final 4 actor categories before we move on to the actresses. The 4 actors we got: Paul Newman, Robert De Niro, Robert Redford, and Sir Sean Connery.
Oh, Sir Sean Connery. That's the only somewhat accent and impression that I can do as a Sean and it's not very good. Sorry.
I was about to say, the more you go on, you're kind of losing it a little bit, but that's okay.
I heard it.
But that's why your dog question can come in again outside of IG. It'll come in that
that's how I perfected that line. It's from trying to imitate Sean Connery's accent. So.
Yes. Okay. Actresses. We got Emily Blunt. One of those kind of, that's another Ben Bateman category, I feel like one he'll try to target. We got Frances McDormand. A lot of great films from there. Halle Berry. Jennifer
I
Lopez.
love that.
Little J-Lo. Oprah Winfrey gets a slice, which is interesting to me. Reese Witherspoon and Whoopi Goldberg.
I actually like every single one of those. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I do feel like the Oprah category is one of those categories. Yeah, rest in peace, Sean Connery. She talks in her sleep. I tried. I do think that the Oprah category is also one of those movies that you can just really get deep into because I don't think that she has a huge body of work. So that you can definitely get but great movies though. So The Color
100%.
Purple, I believe she was in. That's the only movie that's coming to mind because I don't play Schmoedown. So
she was in that one of those like Tomorrowland, not Tomorrowland. The Wrinkle in Time. Wasn't she in Wrinkle in Time? Yeah. Not the Wrinkle in Time knockoff called Tomorrowland. She was in actually a Wrinkle in Time.
Yeah.
I actually like Tomorrowland better than Wrinkle in Time. To be honest, I like Tomorrowland.
I like Tomorrowland, and I actually kind of do like A Wrinkle in Time. I have a little bit of a tiff with the way that they decided to adapt some of the things into it from the book. So.
Yeah. Me and Danielle need to do a watch the book on A Wrinkle in Time.
There you go.
Oh, that's right. Was Wrinkle in Time? I know that you and I talked about it. Watch the Book will be coming soon. Yeah, I gave up on a lot of stuff that's going to be distracting for it. So I'm not talking about Schmoedown right now. And I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm handing it back to Paul.
All right. Okay. So those are the new categories in the subgenre category, so to speak. We got Black Cinema, which is already talked a little bit about, which I'm happy to see. DreamWorks Animation is getting a slice.
Cartoons are trash.
DreamWorks. Oh, shut up, Billy. But RIP.
I was waiting for that to happen. Interesting one for me here is Lucasfilm is getting a slice, which is where you fill in the Star Wars, you can fill in the Howard the Duck, you could fill in the Strange Magic, the Tucker Man in His Dream, the Willows, a lot of different things you can add to that. It's an interesting category to add. We should see what that's going to be like in the singles division as far as that goes.
I hate it.
I know you do.
We already have a whole Star Wars division that we shouldn't have. Now we got a Lucasfilm slice. Get out of here.
Deep cut Strange Magic questions, y'all. That's what we're going to go with. 19 martial arts movies. Martial arts movies, which is a good category. That's fun. Love that.
Again, it's one of those categories. It's like, how do you define it? Like, how much martial arts do they have to do? And also, what kind of martial arts? Like, is Warrior a martial arts movie? It's a mixed martial arts movie.
I don't know. Good thing. Oh, Jesse, you haven't met Billy yet. Obviously, Billy's been on the cartoons as trash for years.
I didn't say animation is trash. I said cartoons are trash.
All right, what else we got? We got mystery films. Mystery film, which is a good category. Again, what it means, we're going to have to see how the category develops at this point. I think there's a lot of things that kind of cross over in that way, but that's another good one. Here's a fun one, I think. Spoof movies.
Interesting.
The Hot
Terrible.
Shots.
Awful. Oh, my God. Punch me in the face.
Poor people have to watch those all day long.
Yeah, that's gonna suck. I think that's where movie 43 is gonna come in. I know that someone had said something about Halle Berry. Jesse Swift in the chat says, "I hope movie 43 is in the Halle Berry slice." I feel like movie 43 would be in the spoof slice, right? Like, is that possibly where it could live?
No, because it's not a direct, like a spoof is like something like Scary Movie, where it's like spoofing a genre,
Right.
or like the rom-com one. There's a lot of those. Like movie 43 is just a sketch movie, and it's just awful trash. Horrible.
I still haven't seen it. I just know that there's balls on Hugh Jackman's chin. That's the only thing that I know about that movie.
I would rather watch any cartoon on the planet before watching movie 43, and that will show you how bad movie 43 is, because cartoons are trash.
Wow.
Whatever.
Right. Let's see. Okay, we got Stephen King as a slice. Stephen King adaptations. I like that aspect. That's gonna be fun.
I do too. I like that. I'm a big fan of Stephen King movies, Stephen King adaptations. Not a big fan of Stephen King at the moment, but I am a big fan of the adaptations from his book.
There's a lot of bad Stephen King adaptations that people are
Yeah.
going to
Maximum Overdrive. That's not.
No, that is. That's Trucks. That's
Yeah.
based off of the Stephen King. Stephen King directed that. It's
I know.
definitely on the slice.
He directed that movie when he was like on the most fucked up part of his life. It's so nuts to hear the stories behind Maximum Overdrive.
There were a lot of movies that were directed on cocaine in that time period.
Yeah. But I know specifically, like, that movie is why Stephen King doesn't direct or do movies anymore, because of the way that fucking Maximum Overdrive came out. It's insane. I love that movie, y'all. I'm not even gonna fucking lie.
I do too. I love it.
Oh, it is like cult classic TBS, on a Tuesday night.
Like when those soda cans start shooting out from the soda machine and they kill a soda machine kills someone in this movie. Y'all, it's hilarious.
We had the electric carving knife in our house, the same one, and I threw it in the trash. My mom doesn't know that to this day.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if Nat is saying that The Shining is a bad one, is a bad adaptation, but it is a there. Oh man, I can talk about The Shining all day long. That'll go into a
great movie.
Yeah.
Movie.
It's a great fucking movie. Stanley Kubrick is one of my favorite directors. There's a lot of. I'm not going to Danny rant. I'm sorry. I will absolutely Danny rant about Shining.
You've already been here an hour 45, Danny. You've already been here an hour 45.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's like this, guys. There are movies that are based on a true story, and then there are movies that are inspired by a true story. The Shining is inspired by a Stephen King story. It's not based on a Stephen King story.
100%.
All right, the final new category and subgenre is a very interesting one: wrestlers in film.
Okay.
Yes, fantastic, best slice ever. Oh my god, I cannot wait for people to have to answer all of the Hulk Hogan movie questions.
No holds barred.
Mr. Nanny,
Suburban Commando.
What's the Suburban Commando? That piece of trash.
We can get a Studio Ghibli slice.
Oh man! Oh, but R.I.P. Man, we're gonna get the Roddy Piper movie.
They Live.
They Live. Fantastic movies. That's a good movie.
That is a good movie. Like, that's a really good movie. I think everyone should watch They Live. Marine question.
Are we gonna get all the Marine questions, like Marine 5 with the Miz?
I think they don't. I don't think they were. I don't think they were theatrically released. I think that's the difference. I think they have to be theatrically released and join there.
It was released at one theater in Connecticut for WWE.
Technically, you can get Kevin Smith movies in there because Chris Jericho appeared in a couple of Kevin Smith movies. There's other things in there. It's a very broad category.
There's Waterboy is in that category because the Captain Insano is played by the Giant.
Expendables has Stone Cold Steve Austin in it. I mean,
that's where you could put Princess Bride also.
Under the Giant.
Under the Giant. There you go. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot of, like, especially cameo. If you, like, just count cameos, there's so many of them. I mean, Blade 3 has Triple H in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
And it's right. Early Dwayne Johnson, and he has his own slice, but those are the Rundown. I love the Rundown. I love the Rundown with Christopher Walken as well. Oh, it's so good. So good.
Like when Dwayne Johnson did that run of Disney movies for a little while, those are going to be great movies. Did Jumanji movies also.
Oh, what's the one where he's like a quarterback and he has his daughter? So bad, awful.
Game changer,
So bad.
game plan,
Oh, I
or
thought
something
that was
Game plan, yeah. No, the
Game
Tooth
plan.
Fairy, he actually plays the Tooth Fairy.
right. I don't know why I was thinking that when he had a daughter in it, but no. You're right.
The
you're
game plan, I think it is the game plan. Is the name
right.
of it,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're right.
Ferris,
Ferris my
Ferris, that
jam.
movie is trash. I'm sorry. Like, that's on cartoon level trash.
Okay, moving on. I do have the IG categories, although the list I had doesn't have them separated down to the new versus what the old were. So I'll just gonna list them real quick. There's 25 of them, and then we can go through what we think is new or whatever we want to talk about new. We got Alien Predator, got animated,
New.
Batman, comic book movies, DC, dystopian future and time travel, fantasy sci-fi, graphic novels, heroes and villains, Jurassic Park, Marvel, Middle Earth, Mixed Bag, Planet of the Apes, scores and soundtracks, Spider-Man, Star Wars, Star Trek, Superman, Swashbuckling Adventure, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Transformers, Who Said It, Wizarding World, and X-Men.
The thing that the IG is still missing to me, and granted they do appear in these categories, but something that would kind of change the way you have to think about categories in your mind when you're thinking about categories is if they did something like 70s IG, 80s IG, like because then you're not like I only have to think about Marvel back to the 70s or DC back to the 70s or comic book movies back to the 70s. It could be anything from like any of those sci-fi and fantasy movies that don't get nearly enough love from the 70s and 80s. I would like to see those on the IG wheel.
I didn't hear a lot of it, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is on that list also, right?
Correct. That's
I'm
a good
so
one.
fucking pumped for that. Oh my god, TMNT. I fucking love it.
You and Winston both at that point, right?
It's interesting that it gets its own wheel slice because it already fell under like comic book or graphic novels. So, but again, now you got to be really like specific to what is there, like 4, 5? Well, I guess now 5 or 6 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies.
There's got to be around that much. Yeah, I want to say that 6. Yeah.
There's the 3 originals. There was the animated one, and there was 2 Michael
2
Bay
new ones. Okay,
ones.
I didn't know if the animated one was like a theatrically released.
Anyway, yep, it was. Names in that. Actually, some good names in that.
The Ninja Turtles, there's one good movie, so I'm excited for that.
Which one?
I love the original 3. I really do. I don't care what anyone says about those movies. I cherish those movies as a kid growing up. It was something. Those movies and Cool Runnings were movies that I watched in rotation.
Ben Bateman famously was eliminated from a Schmoedown tournament, or I think maybe against Clark Wolf. I think when he lost to Clark Wolf on a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles question, it was what kind of store did April O'Neil live above in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yeah,
antique store, baby, antique store.
Antiques, yeah. And again, Bateman had no childhood, so we didn't know it.
That's true. Nice.
Me too.
Other ones I do want to bring up, as I did go into the list, I do love the Alien and Predator slice. I love that as a multi-franchise movie that makes sense to put together.
Yeah, I think so.
Get deep on some of those as well.
I think those are good movies to have in the Inner Geekdom for those deep cut questions, because it's not going to be there's not 10 movies inside of that, but it's definitely enough that's going to be challenging, and there's a type of lore that's within those movies that I think is something that can be appreciated inside.
I have the list of those movies as well. If you want to listen to the dystopian future / time travel movies, include Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3, The Matrix, Matrix trilogy. The Mad Max movies, so Mad Max 2, Thunderdome, and Fury Road, Waterworld, Snowpiercer, the Terminator, and then the Terminator franchise, all the Terminator movies.
Nice.
So that is a good one. Another interesting one to bring up, Planet of the Apes. What a deep cut that is going to be. Not just the 3 new ones. The 3 new ones are in there. And yes, first, Prometheus does count in the Alien franchise. It's Prometheus and Alien Covenant as well. They both count in that franchise.
With Planet of the Apes, Paul, those are going to be all of the old movies also?
It is the 3 new ones.
They were all
the 2001 and all 5 of the Planet of the Apes 1968, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Escape from Planet of the Apes, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, and Battle for Planet of the Apes. I know Mike Kalinowski was not excited about that.
The first one is iconic. The second one is kind of like a weird, fun movie. The last one is actually like not bad. 3 and 4 are absolute garbage. Like just terrible, like animation level trash.
Oh
And then
God.
2001. And then 2001.
Oh, the Tim Burton one. God, that breaks my heart so much.
Yeah.
God, that breaks my heart every time I think about that movie. And I thought that movie was actually pretty fine and decent right into the very fucking end. And then it was like, here's this knife. I'm gonna stab your entire heart and ruin your childhood with it. I hate it. I still hate it. It makes me so mad thinking about it. All right.
A couple of them we got. The swashbuckling adventure list is Pirates of the Caribbean movies, the Indiana Jones movies, Willow, the Lone Ranger, and the Mask of Zorro, and the Legend of Zorro. Those are the swashbuckling. So, let's see. Graphic novels we talked about. Transformers movies. That's going to be big for Roka if he ever decides to go IG.
Oh my gosh, absolute. They might as well be animated. That's how bad those movies are.
Yeah, absolutely.
I saw the Mark Wahlberg one in theaters, and that movie felt like it was 3 days long.
Yeah.
the original like had a lot of like nostalgia, like when you're watching it as like an 80s child, there was so much nostalgia. It felt like a really good movie. Watching it back, it's not as good as it felt in the theaters. The rest of them, whew, man, I'd rather watch The Fast and the Furious. Shout out to Ferris and John Mastrino.
Yeah, there you go. A couple other things we got real quick. We do have, let's see, comic book movies that are not as far as like the Marvel DC goes. I have a list of those as well. Priest, Two Guns, 30 Days of Night, Polar, The Old Guard, The Mask, Son of the Mask, The Kitchen, Wanted, Time Cop, Tank Girl, Surrogates, The Spirit, Spawn, R.I.P.D., Mystery Men, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Dread, Judge Dredd, Ghost World, The Crow City of Angels, Bulletproof Monk, Bloodshot, Barbed Wire, The Phantom, Shadow, Kick-Ass, Kick-Ass 2, Kingsman, The Secret Service, Kingsman, The Golden Circle, The Losers, Red, and Red 2.
I have a question for you guys. So, like, in singles, when they give us a category, they don't specify, like, what movies. I mean, I guess maybe because IG needs more specification, but do you think that they should specify what movies are falling under that?
They have to for IG. I think that's what it is. It's kind of like the way it's the way they have developed the league so far already. They've already kind of crossed that bridge when it comes to it. So trying to change it now might be a little bit much.
No. I think what Billy's asking is if they should do that same format with singles. Like
should you do it in singles?
No. I don't. I like it better when it's open ended. I don't think they should do it in IG either. Like, I think if it's a comic book movie, you should know it's fair game. And the fact that if you don't know that it was a comic book movie, sorry about your luck. Like. Okay. It's the same thing as like studying for a slice like Sean Connery, right? Mm-hmm. And then you find out, oh wait, I forgot that he was in that movie, or I didn't know he was in that movie, and that's a hole in your knowledge. It's your own fault for not specifying, like figuring that stuff out. Now,
I don't disagree necessarily, but I think it's part of past practice at this point. It'd take a lot to kind of change it back at this point because it's already been done that way. But I get your argument.
My issue is like for something like comic book movie, you now list the movies that are comic that you can like I guess that you consider comic book movies or that you are putting in the comic book movie category, and now you're leaving out comic book movies. Like, why are you specifying?
I guess.
I guess one thing you do have to specify is there are movies based on comics, and then there are comics that ended up based on movies, and it's like, is it open to both? Is it not? So.
Get cost like Lost in the super chats. Don't forget, y'all, anything that you donate tonight does go to the Corpus Christi Mutual Aid Fund, helping out these frozen Texans over here, spreading some love. Danny Cost like Lost, Transformers, best part are the Linkin Park songs. That is absolutely correct, Danny.
R.I.P. Chester, man.
Yeah.
That's really it for me as far as the IG things go. I think it's enough we can go into at this point. So those are the new categories. I like that we're getting more. You're never going to agree with everything, right? You're never going to agree with every wheel slice. You're never going to agree with like what you want to see. You're going to be missing stuff that you want to see. But I think the team's doing a damn good job as far as expanding out and going from there. I like what we're seeing. I hope we get more.
Yeah, I'm excited about these new slices. It's interesting to see some of this new stuff categorized the way that it is. I think it's good. I'm mixed. I'm just excited. Anything with Schmoedown, I'm gonna be happy about. So
Yeah.
Well, I think that's gonna wrap it up for us here tonight on the Call to Action Network. Again, I want to thank everyone that donated to the Streamlabs and Super Chats tonight. We got almost $400 going to CC Mutual Aid, y'all. I can't thank you all enough. That means so much to me. This is this is something that's near and dear to my heart. I want to try to help out as much as I can with the people in my community, my own personal community here at home. So again, thank you all so much for doing that. I love you all. I appreciate that from the very, very depths of my soul. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. But that's going to be it for us on Call to Action Live on this happy Sunday. Before we get going, Billy Belford, let the people know where they can find you and what you got coming up.
Coming up, I have a week from tomorrow, I will be doing the second episode of Turn It Up to 11. Wow. Myself and some other guy. Some random person. Some Chandra guy. Oh, no. No.
Wow.
We'll be doing the 11 greatest rivalries in Schmoedown history. So, hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Billy Belford and tell me what you think is the greatest rivalry in Schmoedown history. I'm also going to be on Call Live a lot more often, because, I like Call Live. And you can catch me not watching animation, anywhere else. But that's about it, yeah.
I think you like to chill also. You like to chill out sometimes too, right?
I do like to chill, yes. Every once in a while, I do like to chill with my homies, my homegirl Danielle and her weird uncle.
I know. I'm the Juice's weird uncle. I'm the Juice's alcoholic uncle. That's what that is. So unless Danny and Juice were cousins or something, I don't know.
Yes, I like to do action whenever I can, for sure.
PLD at Paul_Denuzio on Twitter. You can find me on PLD Project sometimes. I have a new show I do called Scoundrels with the Force. It's going to be weekly. Someone was supposed to be on this morning. Didn't quite happen. I don't know what happened, but it's okay. We love her anyway. We'll get her on.
6 a.m. my time, y'all. Cut me a tiny bit for 6 a.m. my time.
It is a European-friendly show. We usually have Bador on, who's in Kuwait. We usually have Jarvia, who's in Estonia, and Matty Gunner in the UK. So it made sense with my overnight schedule to do it that way. But you can always catch it on the app, on the replay, if you'd like. And also, you can find us on, find me on Action Industries. We do WandaVision reviews every Friday, and then also the weekend shows, Action Unfiltered, Saturday rotating show with the general debate, things like that, and the Action Guys on Sunday as well, and behind the scenes, and sometimes on screen there as well. And of course, every week here with on bi-weekly now on Shield Action with this wonderful woman here, and sometimes it's Yahoo down below. Also, you can find me every other week on Turn Up to 11 with that Yahoo below as well. I think that's it. That's good enough for now. I can keep going, but
turn it up to 11. Y'all know me, y'all. It's your girl Danny Joy here.
How dare you?
All right. Well, you know me, y'all. It's your girl Danny Joy. You can find me on Twitter at Danny Joy, DANIEJOY. You can also find me here every once in a while, getting interrupted by Mr. Bell. Anyways, big shout out to Ferris Methode again for donating once again inside of the Streamlabs. My dude, I love you and I appreciate you so much. Thank you to everyone that's been hanging out with us in the chat tonight. Jesse, check your DMs later sometime. I'm sure we're going to hit you up about coming on because you got a match coming up and we're all very much excited about it. So from everyone at the Call to Action Network, thank you all so much. We love you. Give your puppies a belly rub. Tell your people that you love them. Get some sleep. Fluff your pillows. Love you all so much. Y'all have a good night. We are getting out of here once I figure out how to press some buttons.